Hi, I'm Mad Bad Ting. You can also call me Madison. That's my real name. I'm an American. I have lived in Paris for 5 years. I was born in Scottsdale, Arizona. I moved to LA when I was 18 years old, which I feel like that's kind of where Mad Bad Ting really got going. Before that, I grew up in a really suburban sort of town that didn't have a lot going on. I was just a pretty regular young person. And then I had a dream of working in fashion and music. So I drove my little car to Los Angeles, and yeah, that's kind of where it all began. Yes, I've been, making money as an artist for 14 years. I've been a DJ for 10 years, a product designer for 12 years. I've been producing music for about 2 years now, and I have had my own brand for 7 years. More than an artist, I'm a woman and I'm a mother, and I'm someone who cares about creating community and making change. And I think that that's a really big part of Mad Bad Ting also, is womanhood and now motherhood, trying to do something that's not just cool, but something that makes an impact. I always say that DJing found me. I never wanted to be a DJ. I never thought of myself as a musician. I was always like, I'm gonna be a designer, or I'm gonna be an artist, like a painter, an illustrator. But I always loved music. And when I was in college, I ended up being a costume designer for an artist named Aluna George. She's like a UK drum and bass electronic pop singer. She's really talented. And yeah, I toured with her for 2 years. And while I was touring with her, doing her costume design, her creative direction, all those cool things, some styling, they just asked me if I would be interested in learning to DJ. And I was really young, and so I was just like, yeah, why not? And I don't think that they or I were planning on this being a long-term thing. They were just like, we need a DJ for 10 shows. You're already here. You're fun. Maybe you can do it. So I went in the studio. If you're in London, the studio is called London Sound Academy. There's a great guy named Burton who taught me everything. And yeah, for maybe 4 weeks, I learned. And then my first DJ gig was when Aluna opened for Charlie XCX at the Yo-Yo at Palais de Tokyo here in Paris in 2016. So yeah, so I've been DJing, for about 10 years. That was my first DJ gig. I was so scared. I remember what I wore this big brown long fur coat and these big glasses because I was so afraid and I was shaking. It was so scary. But I went back to LA after those 10 shows, and people were like, oh, you're a DJ? Oh, you're a DJ? And I was like, I guess, yeah, I'm a DJ. And people started booking me as a DJ for clubs, for events. I toured with a few other artists like Megan Thee Stallion, Carrie Foe, Jungle Pussy. I opened for Billie Eilish at the El Rey. Things just were happening. And yeah, people kept asking me what my DJ name was. And I was like, I don't know. And then I remembered when I was learning to DJ, all the guys in the studio would be like, oh, it's that American Ting, oh, Mad the American Ting. So I was just like, Mad Bad Ting. And DJing totally found me, and I think the first 5 years of me DJing, I didn't really believe that I was a DJ, or that that's something that I could do long term. I feel a lot of, maybe all DJs, but I can only speak for women and the women that I've talked to. I feel women feel maybe there's a shelf life to it. Oh, it's just this young thing I'm doing for fun. Because yeah, I think long term, it can be complicated for women in any sort of career where you're creative and you have to be seen, acting, singers, people always pretend there's a shelf life for that. So I kind of felt that, and coupled with imposter syndrome and all those things, I was like, no, I'm not a DJ, I'm a designer. It's just for fun, it's whatever. But yeah, it just continued to show up in my life. And it was something that I felt I didn't have to work that hard to be good at. And I feel when something just flows in your life, when you have flow with it, when I'm DJing, I just feel time passes, and I just, I don't feel I have to work hard to be good at DJing. It's just something that I enjoy and I love, and that has constantly shown up in my life. And yeah, I think sometimes that's just how you discover what you're supposed to do. I have to also thank fashion. I feel without music, there wouldn't be fashion. Without fashion, there wouldn't be music. And that's such a intersection. I guess Mad Bad Ting and DJing just came from this love of community and fashion and music, and also just a lot of universe alignment, going with the flow. I don't know. I would say because there's not a lot of transparency around motherhood. There's a lot of people that are like, oh yeah, motherhood's great, everything's great, look at us, we're great, everything's great. And then there's a lot of people that like, motherhood's horrible, everything's horrible, like, you know. And I feel like there's not like a realistic, open conversation about it, because if you were really open and honest about the truth about motherhood and pregnancy loss, I think people would be sort of outraged and maybe embarrassed. It's a huge conversation that needs to happen. And I was really unprepared for this phase of my life. Like, I had no idea what I was getting myself into when I signed up to be a mom, which doesn't mean that I don't like it. I really love being a mom, but there's just a lack of like female stories in general, like across all categories, like music, film, fashion. Like, there's so few women that are truly like in places of power that have like the opportunity to not just tell their stories, but hire women and put women in places like where women's voices can truly be heard. And I think so often women are toning down their experience because they don't want to sound like the crazy woman or, you know, the problem, you know? So this is what really happens. Like, women tone it down to fit in. I'm just like not a toned down person, so I'm not going to tone it down. For me personally, like if something bad happens, if I live in shame, so that would be like hiding, not wanting to talk about it, sweeping it under the rug, whatever, I find it really hard personally for me to like move on and move forward. So yeah, being open about it, it just helped me accept it. It helped me just be like, this happened. And then like the amazing thing that happened after that is like all these women started forming around me. And maybe some in person, maybe some online, maybe some that I never talked to. They just support me like through, you know, comments and things like this. But I just started building this really big community of women, and I had women reach out to me and be like, oh, I've had like 2 stillborn babies and never told a soul. Like, it haunts me, like, you know, and that just breaks my heart that they felt like no one cared about their story or cared about their suffering, you know? And like, I just feel like women's suffering has been written off for ages and ages and ages as like something normal. Like, everyone's like, oh, pregnancy, oh yeah, it's great, everything's great. Like, you know, we're not gonna talk about the parts, you know, but why not talk about it? Maybe we can have solutions and maybe we can improve the female experience. So that's why I talked about it so much. I mean, how many DJs can you think of and name off the top of your head that are moms, you know? A lot of people just don't think go together. And I do understand that, because when you look at like the classic setup of a club, it's not really like female positive. Women are important in club spaces. I'm not saying all club spaces, but in typical club spaces, women are important because they're somewhat of like a commodity. Like, it's a business model. You fill up the club with women, you get the guys to come in, they buy the bottles, the women are sort of part of that transaction, right? Because if women weren't there, would they spend the money on buying the bottles? I don't know. This sort of dynamic, it reminds me of just like kind of society as a whole, where like if you want to really talk about the problems with womanhood and motherhood in society, you have to actually look at the very beginning, the way that this business model was set up, the way that the societal model was set up. You have to look at it and be like, well, when we set this up, there was no women in the room, okay? There was no pregnant women, there were no mothers, there was no one there advocating for women, right? So without representation, not just for women, like without representation across the board, you can't have a society or a business or like a community or a culture that is well-rounded, right? Because if it's just this group of people that are creating this thing that all the other people come and participate in, it's never gonna be balanced. And so the club scene is the same. And I think, once again, until there are more women that are in charge of maybe booking, like, I don't know any women that own clubs, like, and I think because it's been notoriously done in this one way, I don't think it's been that sexy for women, like not sexy, but it's not been attractive. Like, women don't really want to do that. It's a bit like, you know, sometimes it can be a little bit unsafe, the club scene for women. So why would I want to like go and work in it? It's very much unaccommodating, but I also do have to say that today more than ever, it's accommodating. Yeah. Oh my gosh, that was the beginning of a really interesting domino effect in my life. I was a resident DJ at a really big club in Paris, and when they hired me, actually, I was 4 weeks pregnant. So from the very beginning of my residency, like the whole time I worked for them, I was pregnant. Just nobody knew I was pregnant because I didn't tell anyone. DJ there from February till July. And my residency was supposed to go till September. And it was great. I was like probably one of their only female residents. They paid well. It was a bit commercial, but I had a good time. It was cool. I even did a party with them at Cannes Film Festival. It was like Mad Bad Ting and them at Cannes Film Festival. Like I did a lot of cool stuff with them. And then in July, I said on my social media that I was pregnant. I held up my little photo of my little baby growing. And once again, I still didn't look pregnant because in my first pregnancy, I really did not show at all. So yeah, like I'm pregnant, like 5 months or whatever. And a few days later, I got a text message saying, hey, congratulations on your pregnancy. Like, that's wonderful. Yeah, we're gonna go in a new direction. So like the rest of your gigs are like canceled. And I had 4 more gigs with them in Paris. And then I was also supposed to go back to Cannes to do something, like they do like a summer club every year in Cannes. So I was supposed to go back and do a few events there because I just did some for Cannes Film Festival. I was shocked. I was like, wait, this is France. Like I thought, what? Like, no. I sent them an invoice because not only are you like making me feel horrible about myself as a woman and a mother and like making me feel like, I don't know, just being blatantly misogynistic and sexist. Like, I have a whole plan. I'm already contracted to work with you for this long, and now you're cutting me off. And that was like what was gonna lead me into like, you know, maternity. So I sent them, you know, of course, the invoice, and that is what really sparked the conflict even further. Of course, they paid it, I guess, because of maybe, I don't know, legal stuff, I don't know. Then, since then, they despise me. They really don't like me, and they just say, oh yeah, she made us pay her when we like let her go. Not even counting like the reason why they let me go and how horrible that was and how horrible that was for me. And I actually went back and DJ'd there a year later. I was pregnant again. And it was with another party. It was like a young, cool party that was like taking over this big club. And I was like, oh, I don't think I should play. And the guy was like, who does the party, he was like, yeah, like you're part of like our party, like you're gonna play. And I was like, all right. So I went back and I played, and it was so cute. Like all the girlies came for me because they knew what I went through. So the whole like front area was just packed with girls dancing. They were like on the whole chair in front of me. Like I have this video of them going crazy. And I played maybe like 7 songs, 8 songs. And then the male DJ came over. He said, hey, sorry, like, yeah, they don't want you to play anymore. And I was just like, all right, well, whatever. So I just like packed up my stuff and I left, and I was just like, that was the beginning of me realizing that I'm not offering the same thing anymore because I am a mom and I am a woman, and like that does change certain things. Not really for me, not really for women that I work with, but it does change certain things maybe for some men that book me. I'm not really sure, I'm not them. But it started this domino effect of me being like, there needs to be more women in this industry, and I need to be working with more women. Like, and something that I've noticed throughout my pregnancies is I have lost a lot of clients and connections that were like promoters, clubs that were men. They definitely don't contact me as much to work with them. Like, honestly, it's sort of like very radio silent on that half. Like there's maybe two or three promoters that still, you know, want to work together sometimes. But on the other hand, like the abundance of women that are like, this is so cool that you're a mom, I want to work with you, like da 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 da. Like it's like so extreme. Like over here, women are like obsessed with like that I'm a DJ and a mom and like I'm doing all these things, and over here the men are like, ugh. So it's confusing, it's weird, but ultimately there's not enough women in places of power. So it's hard, it's a struggle, you know? And yeah, that's like my one hope for, you know, women in music, that just more women are in charge soon so that they can represent women and women can have opportunity. Honestly, I think my biggest like hurdle to climb is what I've already said, like the lack of women in places of power, period. Being a single mom, or just being a mom in general, I guess, and being a DJ, I don't find it difficult. I find it awesome. A lot of people are confused about it. They're like, whoa, like how are you a DJ and a mom? But, you know, imagine this. I spend like all day hanging out with my kid. When he does his nap, I work on my music. And, you know, his nap's like 3 hours long. And yeah, then when I have a DJ gig, it's usually in the evening or in the night, right? But I do a lot of events, so it's in the evening. I mean, the boy's like ready to go to bed around 7. So, you know, the nanny comes, she's with him, you know, for like 2 hours, and then she stays there until I'm back. So I really don't miss that much time with my son. And if anything, I feel like if we really cared about like children and mothers and women, like we would probably invest more time in creating, or like, yeah, just like rolling out more careers where women can be mothers and have careers. Because like I think about, oh, if I had to work in an office all day, every day, no shade to moms that do that. You are amazing. I don't know how you're doing it. Like blessings to you. But that's hard. That's so hard to do that. Like you are not only sacrificing so much time away from your child, but like that's exhausting. Like your child, that's a lot of work, okay? Everyone's like, oh, you just get to hang out with your kid. It is a lot of work. And yeah, like I have this great balance right now and I can really manage both of those things. So I feel like there's still a really long way to go. I hate to say that. I wish I was like, no, there's so many changes. But there are like positive changes happening. Like the fact that I went through all of that in my pregnancy and a bunch of other bad stuff, and I'm still here DJing means that it's okay. Like things are changing, slow. The industry is definitely like changing. It's definitely improving. But I think that until there's like more women in power, more women involved in the process, maybe not even like the person who's like owns the business, but just women involved in the process. Women that can be like, oh, no, I don't think we should be doing that. Or like, you know, like women's voices need to be heard and they need to be part of the process. But yeah, I think that there is a huge improvement in some ways because, for example, I'm now a resident for a new party this year. It's called Disturbia, and it is such a good party. It's like the best party I've played in Paris, honestly, I think in the whole 5 years that I've been here. And it's a Y2K party, so all nostalgic vibes, all nostalgic music. This is like, it's like you're stepping into my teenage years, okay? So obviously I love this party because like this is all the music that I listen to. Like I know every word of every song, like, you know, backwards, frontwards. It's also like a party ran by women. So first, I'm paid like an appropriate rate, you know? The DJs, it's like a diverse lineup. The art direction is like really well thought out and really well executed. The crowd is like, there's just something about a party that is ran by women or that heavily involves women that you have like a crowd that is like wild. And I actually brought them and I want them to come can you come and say hi really quick and introduce yourself?
Hey, I'm Lily. I'm Sophie. We're the co-owners of Disturbia with our lovely Maddie, resident DJ and amazing and mom and everything wonderful.
The Americans in Paris.
Yeah, gotta represent.
Next party, May 2nd at La Nuit. Even these girls, you know, they're breaking down doors. They're having to overcome a lot of things because this is a male industry. So it's not easy for them to create this amazing party and for them to like hold true to what they believe in and like the type of party that they want to see. Like they have to like really be firm and they have to navigate a lot of weird political sort of situations to create this environment. So shout out to Serbia and come to the next party. I feel really connected to like my community. Like I said, I have a lot of DMs. I would say every day I receive at least one message from a young woman or a woman of any age really. But I would say, yeah, my fan base is probably like up until 35. So yeah, between like 18 and 35. And yeah, they're just contacting me being like, I followed you for 10 years. Like you're inspiring me for this, or thank you so much for sharing your story about pregnancy loss, or thank you so much for talking like transparently about motherhood because I want to be a mom, but like I'm so afraid. Like I don't know anything and no one's telling me anything. So yeah, I feel like the transparency and yeah, just using like my loss, like and kind of contributing it to like the overall pot of women. Yeah, I'm just seeing like positive, like I'm just seeing a positive return. And it was obviously like really scary. Like when you lose your baby, a million things go through your mind. Like, is it my fault? Like, you know, I'm horrible. Like you think like the worst things ever. It's obviously like a super traumatic experience. Like something dies inside of you. Like that's crazy. You like have had death inside of you, which is super weird as a woman, as someone that creates, like women are creators. So yeah, it's a really hard experience. And I think a lot of women live in shame, you know? And in general, I think a lot of women that become mothers, they live in shame, invisibility. They live in a lot of like really hard things that they don't talk about because nobody wants to hear it, but I want to hear it and I want to talk about it. So yeah, I'm really happy that I did that. Being a single mom is hard, but it's not harder than what I was going through. It's easier than what I was going through before I was a single mom. A lot of women don't want to get married and don't want to have kids because, as Chappelle Rowan said, moms are in hell. And I think that's totally true sometimes. But why are women in hell? I think we need to think about that. We need to talk about that because, yeah, there's a really unbalanced, disproportionate amount of labor on a mom's shoulders when you look at a mother and a father, typically, okay? Like, obviously, nothing's 100%, but yeah, typically it's like this, okay? So I don't feel like as a single mom that my life is that much different than it would have been, you know? I just have a lot more peace and I have a lot more time for myself. And yeah, I have to pour a lot into my baby and then I get to pour a lot into myself. And that feels really good. So yeah, that's why I'm not afraid to be like, I'm a single mom, because single moms are just women that were like, you know what, I am not moving. Like, I don't care what anyone thinks. I know what's right for my child. I know it's right for me, and I'm going this way. And I mean, snaps to them, because I watched a lot of women in my life stay in horrible relationships for the optics, or I don't know, because they thought it was better for their children, or whatever reason they thought. And I just have to tell you, girl, that take care of yourself, take care of you, because if you don't have anything to pour into people, if you are empty, I don't have anything bad to say about single moms. They slay. Oh my gosh, yes, he is so musical. Okay, first, he has a little piano and he just bangs around on it all the time because now he's like crawling, you know? So he just like lays on his tummy and bangs around. Aiko was like my first baby friend. Like, you know, like I wasn't like a woman who was like friends with a lot of babies before her baby. But Aiko loves music. I think a huge part of that is when I was pregnant with Aiko, actually when I was pregnant with his sister Michiko, I started learning how to produce music. And of course I was DJing throughout both pregnancies, like a lot. And yeah, I think that really contributed a lot to his love for music and also how it affects his mood. Like, every morning when I wake up, I play jazz. Like, I'm a jazz girl, so I play like jazz music and it really gets him going and he's really vibing. And then we have like a specific playlist that we listen to a lot in my third trimester. And that really, like if he's not feeling like happy, if he's tired or something, that really calms him down. There's like HZ frequencies. They really like, they put him to sleep in like 5 seconds. Like if I turn them on, he's like, yeah, I don't know. He's so connected to music. Like, I'm like, oh my gosh, you are gonna be a musical genius. Like, I don't know. He just really gets it. But he's also just like a really happy baby. So honestly, I feel like if you put anything in front of him, he would love it. Like, I don't know. We'll see. But yeah, lots of music. Because a lot of the time when I'm prepping for a DJ set, like sometimes he's awake. A lot of moms are gonna be jealous of this, but my son has slept completely through the night since he was about 4 weeks old. So like, no. He goes to sleep at like 7 or 8 and he wakes up at like 7. He is a sleeper. He does not wake up in the night. Yeah, so no, not really. Fair pay. You know what I mean? Fair pay. Like, definitely. I think that's the #1 thing that I think DJs deserve more of. Like, a DJ should not be DJing for 5 hours for 100 euros. Not for 3 hours for 200 euros, especially in the middle of the night. Like, okay, what? Maybe invest more of your time in the industry that surrounds women. I feel like I invested a lot of my time, not just in DJing, but also in design and like, you know, so I'm a product designer and I own a brand, which was sort of in the streetwear world. Yeah, I invested a lot of my time and energy trying to sit at the men's table. And I'm, you know, 33. So in my like demographic or whatever, my generation, that's the word. In my generation, that's what you tried to do. Women didn't really make their own tables because it didn't really work yet, you know? And we were just like all trying to sit at the men's table and say, oh, like we're just as good as you, and oh, we function just the same, and oh. And so I feel like when I was ready to transition into this new phase of my life, which motherhood is a huge transition, you don't change in bad ways, but like you totally change, you know? I think in all positive ways. Like I feel like I was like hit by a truck because I was so unprepared because my whole table was full of men who couldn't relate to my experience, didn't care, you know? So I had to change so much and I lost a lot. So I would say, if you want to work in the music industry or even the fashion industry, I would really invest your time and resources into building something around people who understand you. So then when you do transition into motherhood, you'll have this whole group of people that you work with that get it and they want to support you. They don't want to be like, oh, bye. They'll be like, oh my gosh, yes, like how can we help you. It'll be like we, you know, instead of how it's so like me. I first started to produce music, like when I was first becoming a DJ, I was like just playing around on Ableton because I worked with some really big DJs in my career. Like I did some stuff for Diplo, like one of the first people I ever worked for was Steve Angelo of Swedish House Mafia and his wife. Like I think I was like 19. I worked for What So Not. Like I've worked for a lot of DJs who are music producers. So I was like, okay, I want to try. And I tried like a little thing on Ableton maybe in 2017. And one of my friends was like, no, like, you're not good at this. You're a designer. Like, no. And I just believed them. And I was just like, yeah, they're right. Like, I'm not musical. Like, I'm not, well. And I just continued down, like, oh, I just DJ, like, you know, whatever. I'm a fashion DJ. And then in my pregnancy, I was just like really wanting to hear certain remixes. I was like, oh, like, I love how this sounds together, but I wish that it was longer. I wish it wasn't just the transition when I'm DJing the songs. I wish it was more of like a mashup. So I really went into it like, oh, I want to make mashups or remixes for my own sets. Like that was my point of doing it. And I taught myself how to do it, and then I like started being friends with other music producers, honestly mostly male. I don't know that many female music producers, so if you're a female music producer, like, I don't know, DM me. But yeah, I started like collaborating with them and asking them to teach me things. And so the first one that I worked with was this guy named Refilled. He's based in Jersey, and he is like really, really talented. Like he's been producing music since he was like 14, like in his like, you know, parents' like house room. Like he's so like, in like 30 minutes, he can like whip up like a banger, like, you know? So yeah, so he taught me a lot, and we did our first remix together, which was Lunch by Billie Eilish. And that did so good on SoundCloud. Like I think it has like 30 or 40,000 like plays. And yeah, and so then after that, I just kept going, and I did like 360 by Charlie XCX. I just did Nissan Altima by Doechii. And yeah, I love it. I think it's so fun. I mean, I don't think I'm at the level where I can really produce a song for an artist or something like that, but my main purpose was always to just like be able to build my own full set for myself. So if you come to one of my sets, like it could be an entire set built by me, which I think is really special. It's really hard because there's like no rules to music production. You know, it's all like what sounds good. You know, you can't like follow like really an instruction guide. And oh, on my latest remix, I just worked with this really cool Parisian like music composer. His name is Dan. He's like really talented, and he actually bought my son the little piano, so cute. So yeah, it's been a really cool journey, and I'm really thankful to everyone that's like taught me and brought me in. I would say that I'm an open format DJ, which means that I play everything. I like all music. I'm not like a genre specific DJ. I would say that one of my most popular sets is like my Y2K set. I feel like that is a set that people really kind of like live for. But yeah, I play everything. I play house music, disco, Afro house, Y2K, commercial. I don't play that much rap, if I'm being honest with you. I don't play that much techno. I do play some tech house. But yeah, I love sets that are really open, where I can play everything. And I feel like that's often like at an event. At events, I can kind of like dibble and dabble a lot. But yeah, I feel like at the club, yeah, my most popular set over the past year and a half has been like Y2K sets. So I guess that's kind of what I'm known for right now. And that's actually what I'm going to do today. I'm going to do like a Disturbia style set so people can get a taste of what they're coming to on May 2nd. Hire women, they're the best, period.